especially for SMEs, usually in areas of productive sectors. On matters of taxation and compliance, the business community position that we support fair taxation and digital compliance led by the Kenya Revenue Authority, but we request a first implementation of new compliance requirements and withholding measures. I think there need to be more capacity building because you cannot begin to delegate where you have not built capacity. So our ask is very simple, that we simplify e-teams, compliance for the SMEs. We avoid retrospective enforcement and punitive penalties during transition periods. That is what we are gently asking. In terms of investment and incentives, we welcome incentives such as investment allowance and preferential tax regimes. And we support Kenya's positioning as a regional financial investment hub through the Nairobi International Finance Center. Our ask is to expand access to initiatives beyond large firms to include scalable SMEs and ensure clarity and predictability of incentive qualification criteria. I want to repeat there that we need to ensure clarity and a more predictable way of incentive and qualification criteria. In terms of sector growth and value addition, we strongly support budget focus on agriculture, manufacturing, ICT, housing, and infrastructure. But we would like to prioritize policies that promote local value addition and exports. So our advocacy question is to protect local manufacturers from unfair imports. And also maintain VAT relief on essential inputs and productive equipment. And Waziri, you promised that you will reduce VAT. If you reduce VAT, there will be more compliance and there will be more inflows into the kitty. I dare you to try that. You will be very popular and the country will be prosperous. For SMAC and formalization, we agree on the need to broaden tax base, but caution against overburdening small businesses. We would like support for turnover tax as a simplified regime. Our advocacy question is to provide incentives, credit access, procurement preferences, training alongside formalization. We would like to harmonize national and county levies to reduce multiple taxation. This one, I think, also falls in the purview of the MCS and our beloved governor, that we are likely to be doing multiple taxation legislation. So we need to be involved to be able also to put our in thoughts there. I'm almost through. In terms of infrastructure and cost of doing business, we support continued investment in roads, energy, logistics, and digital infrastructure. And Waziri and Governor, if you want to help Western Kenya, please ensure the road that passes through Kapsabet to Bungoma, through Sichirai here, through the forest, is really upgraded, because Kakamega is a sleeping giant that is sandwiched. We don't have a major highway passing through, and it will reduce transport costs and travel time considerably. Okay. Now, let me just finish because, so the business community calls for a balanced budget approach that strengthens revenue while guarding enterprise sustainability, employment, and competitiveness. Collaboration between government and business is essential to achieve inclusive growth. So our core message is tax compliance must grow alongside business growth, not at its expense. Thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you. Peter said that he is daring Waziri so that he becomes popular. If you know John Mbadi, say amen. If you know John Mbadi, say amen. Peter Waziri is very popular. And Kenya is also on course to be prosperous. And because Waziri is the brainchild behind realization of Kenya into a first world country, let's clap for that wisdom. Thank you. I'll also welcome Penina Biketi, representation from Bunge la Wamama, Mashinani. Hatumpigi makofi jamani mama. Karibu sana Penina Biketi.
Mtaniruhusu niongee kwa lugha ya taifa. Waheshimiwa wetu wapendwa waliofika hapa, gavana wetu, waziri wetu, hamjamboni. Waziri, karibu nyumbani. Kakamega ni Mlembe Nation na tunapenda wageni. So just feel at home. Nitaenda kwa maswali yangu ama mapendekezo concerning the budget of local women ama mashinani women. Tunapata mostly sana wale wenye wako town always benefit, lakini wamama wa mashinani wamebaki hohehahe, hawana mtu wa kumsupport. So tunaomba serikali, wakati you are allocating the budget, mkifanya budget yenu, ongeza pesa kwa women empowerment ili ifikie the local mama hapo chini au pia wainuke. The second one, after kuongeza hiyo pesa kwa huyo mama, sisi wa mama ndio tunashikilia boma. Tunahitaji maji. Kwa budget yenu mnapo allocate, hakikisha maji imefikia huyo local mama. Isimgharimu muda mwingi anaenda kutafuta maji instead ya kuja kufanya biashara yake. Ya tatu, tuko na agenda. Mnaona sana wamama wanauliwa, wanapigwa. So tunaomba wakati mna allocate the budget, ikuwe na sensitization kwa yule mama hapo chini. Ajue anapoona kuna danger, atajitetea aje kwa wale, ama atafikia aje usaidizi wake. Juu atatoka mbali, anakuja kufika, hajapata msaada. So tunataka sensitization juu wanaingia kwa watu wenye hawawasaidii. Anakuambia nitakupeleka mahali fulani ambapo haezi saidika. Ukienda kwa ule mtu wa karibu, kama ni mwanaume amemtesa, huyu mwanaume anatoa pesa kidogo, mambo inanyamaziwa hapo katikati. Sasa tunataka budget iongeze kwa huyu mama apate haki yake. Generally, tunaomba serikali kwa budget yenu ongeza budget ya kustrengthen public finance management system for gender equality and women empowerment. Nitauliza swali about Safaricom privatization. Mimi kama mama huwa natumia Safaricom always. Sasa tukisikia sijui kama ni rumors ama iko, we don't know. The waziri ndio to elaborate. How are we sure kwamba wamama tunaotumia Safaricom ikikuwa privatized tutakuwa na ile access ya kupata pesa zetu hazitapotea? We want to be sure kwamba hiyo the company will continue kusaidia huyo mama, juu hiyo ndio tu njia moja ya make transaction mostly. Then ya mwisho kuna pipeline privatization pia. Sisi watu tunatumia pikipiki, tunatumia tuktuk. Wakati mnasema inakuwa ya kibinafsi, how are we sure kwamba ile ushuru haitapanda juu? Sisi tushindwe hata hiyo fare ya kufika, kama ni sokoni tuchukue mboga, ama tufike mahali penye tunastahili tupeleke maoni yetu. Hayo ndio maswali yetu. Penina Biketi, bunge la mwananchi. Asanteni.
Asante sana Penina kwa hayo mengi na machache. John Were is also a representation from bunge la wananchi. Welcome.
The Cabinet Secretary, Minister of Finance, His Excellency the Governor of Kakamega, and all guests who are present today, good morning. My name is John Were. I've come to represent Bunge la Wananchi. Bunge la Wananchi is a lobby group that has weekly sittings in Kakamega town here, and I invite all of you to come and join us and get to know what we are doing. But more specifically, I'd like to thank the Minister of Finance. This is the first time I'm interacting with the Minister of Finance one-on-one. I would say one-on-one because others are like when they become ministers, they become bureaucrats. You cannot rig them when you want to. Otherwise, I want to thank you so much for opening up that office and for coming here today. Please keep it up. Two, we have a few concerns as Bunge la Wananchi. One of them is, and Bwana Minister, I'll ask you this question. Why did you choose on Safaricom and Kenya Pipeline Company for privatization? Why not the others? Why the two only? Maybe you need to tell us why you zero down on the two. Then two, what are the safeguards in terms of, ring fencing the money that is going to be raised out of this process? How will you ensure that the money is safe? Is not, stolen, for lack of a better word, by the cartels of this country. We don't know where they operate from. And three, what wamesema kwamba you're one of us in terms of, where you come from. You look more Luo than Luo, or Suba for that matter. Now, if I may ask as I'm not a politician, but I'm just asking a question. In this privatization of Safaricom and Kenya Pipeline, is there anything for region? If I may ask, and when I talk of region, I mean you're also part of it. Tutapata nini kutoka hapo? Let me talk about the budget. Let's want to make a few comments about the budget. Bwana Waziri, nakusi, kuna kitu kimoja wananchi waliuliza. Why don't we consolidate this bursary funds into one so that they can benefit all wananchi equally instead of having different, you have maybe nyota, CDF, and why don't you bring them together so that we run them as one, as a separate entity, so that all of us benefit from it? And then, when a minister, there was a time you wanted to reduce, you're talking about reducing the allowances of members of parliament. I know you're no longer there. We as Bunge la Wananchi feel that, MPs are paid to do their work, oversight, legislation and all that. but you still pay them allowances for sitting in the parliament. What do you do with those allowances so that money can help us do these projects? That's just a request which I'm sure you can work on it. And then kuna kitu ingine about this e-government procurement. I heard you talk about it with a lot of steam. I'd like you to put in more effort so that we go digital in terms of procurement and all the government services, because we shall save a lot and also cut on corruption. And especially, I'm concerned about the Ministry of Lands where now everything is done manually. Is there a way you can ensure that, the communities of lands, we register the services so that when I get quality service, instead of, people hanging around the corridors here and asking for money from old mamas from the village. Last but not least, I've been in public service and I'm now out of it. What I'm seeing now in the public service is different from what I used to see when I was there. And, Bwana Minister, you are very lucky that you have been in both places. You have been in public service, you have been a member of parliament, and now you are a cabinet minister. I'm sure you are seeing this ministry in a broader, space than you used to see it. Therefore, as an outsider, I feel and I believe that you are doing a good job because you are very open and articulate on issues pertaining to the running of the finance of this country. Because, as I said earlier, wewe ndio waziri wa kwanza to come on the ground and sit down with us. And I want you to go further. Ukipata nafasi, kuja ukaa na bunge la wananchi hapa. Na ukuja na governor tafadhali. Tuulize maswali na tupate majibu. Shall move faster. I think I don't want to. Lastly, there's this issue of bunge la wananchi. These groups, people think they're there for political purposes. Sisi, we are non-aligned in terms of politics. We are neither in government, we are neither in the opposition or in government. Please, we'd like you to come and engage us so that we see how best we can run this country. But I can tell you for free, you are in the right trajectory. Thank you so much. May God bless you.
That is John Were. John, the hottest corners of hell are reserved for political neutralists. There is no way you can say uji uko opposition, uji uko kwa serikali. You have to belong somewhere. Kakamega, are we somewhere? Yes. Tunajua tuko wapi? Asante sana. So, at this point, I think we are getting to the youth. The youth are the largest demographic in our country. And we have to appreciate the role of the youth in the day-to-day activities of the government. I think when I was setting the context, I did not explain why we are here. We are here to speak on privatization and budget 2026-2027. So, this time the youth will be at the center of it. Our voices must be heard. And I implore you, the youth, as your representative, come to speak, yeah? Understand what privatization is. Understand how can your voice be impactful in the next financial year. It is very important that we read these things, we go through them. We don't just have an overview and then you want to stick to rumors. So let us be very impactful this year so that when budget will be read, we stand at a point where we say, we know that which the budget entails, we know what it is in there for us, and we appreciate the role of National Treasury in inclusion of the youth matters fiscal planning, right? So I would like to welcome the representation of students. The first one is KMTC. That will be Mercy Ambassa. Let's clap for Mercy as she comes.
Cabinet Secretary Bali and Dr. Baraza, our governor, all protocol observed, good morning. So my name is Mercy Ambassa, a clinical medicine student. I'm in third year, doing my final year this year. I'm here to represent the Kakamega Kenya Medical Training College. I'll be talking more about on the medical sector, because that's what affecting us. So we were given a heading on budgeting, privatization of Safaricom, and privatization of pipeline. I'll just say just a brief on what I know concerning that. Concerning budgeting, I'll start with it. On budgeting, I'll talk about two things, the education funding and health sector budgeting. I'll really be personal on this because this has really affected us as an institution. On education funding, I'll be more on the health sector. For us as a Kenya Medical Training sector, the training college, actually for us, we usually get our help funding very at a delayed, it usually comes in a delayed point. You see that we will really apply like based on the university and also us also apply for it. But you find that our colleagues will start complaining that the universities have been given, their money has been allocated, but you see for us, it's delaying. And you see for us, we have to, when we do our exams, for us to be qualified to do our exams, we have to finish our school fees. And then you find that this delaying of the help financing, it's really affecting us. Some of us, we are even forced to defer. And the other thing is based on lecturers' payment. You see that it's delaying, it's affecting our classes. Even on the health sector budgeting, you find out that when you go to our clinical practice, you see we are allocated in different ward rotations, but now you get, when you get to a certain clinical ward, you find that the supervisor in there starts complaining that your institution is not paying us. And when you go deep to search into it, you find out that there is poor budgeting, which may have resulted to poor allocation of funds. This has really affected us. Yes. On privatization of Safaricom, us as medical students, we are also directly affected on it. You find most of our classes are online, and we are really concerned about that. You see, sometimes the Wi-Fi of the school is not that really effective, so you have to find that I have to buy my own, but I have to fund for my own bundles, which really affect us. So we are really questioning, will this privatization of Safaricom affect our online classes? Will it cause a disruption on it? Also on this, we have embarked on Jiunge payment of our school fees. And most of the time we find out that we are paying using the M-Pesa. Will it affect our transaction? Because that is really of a concern. Because as of Comrade, we are also concerned of the transaction cost. On privatization of pipeline, I don't know much about it, but I know that a better privatization will really focus on stabilizing the fuel prices. So for us, if the private sector gets that much of a percentage, it will really affect us. I'll just give an example. It will give a sharp rise also on the transportation. You see, for us, last year I was supposed to go. The clinical medicine department, we were supposed to go for our attachment, but it became like a a burden for us, because now the school say that we cannot be able to fund for that transport because of the fuel pricing. So all of us were supposed to do that cost burden. We had to, like for me, I was to go to Ahero. I had to travel by myself with all the goods that all the luggages that I'm supposed to carry, and it was really expensive. So I was just requesting be considerate on that. Yes, and that is all. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mercy. We have representative from Sigale National Polytechnic, Wilberforce Mahi. Say your name. Your name.
That one attack.
Your name.
Oh, my name. Okay. To the Cabinet Secretary Finance, our able governor, the National Security Council around, MCAs and all leaders, good morning. I go by the name Wilberforce Mali, the President, Sigalagala National Polytechnic. And through your order, Mr. CS, before I speak, I will wish all the students around to stand so that they can be recognized. All the student leaders to stand up. All comrades, not all the comrades. Power. 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 Okay, thank you. And I'll go direct to the 2 to 3 points that we need to share out. On the issue of the budget allocation and budgeting of this country, to our Ebo Waziri, from the students, we beseech that at least we have an additional funds to the education sector, because that is where most of the youths are. Because number 2, you find that you allocate less funds in terms of the scholarship and the help, yet, if I give you a live example, from the institution where I lead, we have a population of around 20,000, and since last year, we have not received any government scholarship funds. So how do you expect the students to catch up and have a learning that is very smooth? So we beseech, when you are doing this financial year, have more additional funds in terms of help and government scholarship to these tertiary institutions. Number 2, I remember last year when we were in the Jukwaa la Usalama and the Jukwaa la Usomi forums, we advocated for more funds to be added to the county governments so that the county governments can be able to put the street lights that are going to help the security sector in these institutions. So in your honor, we beseech that you also add these counties more funds so that they can put more street lights, because our students are suffering when it comes to security matters. And another thing that we need to address when it comes to the budgeting of this country, we'll seek that we've heard the government is advocating for what we call the National Infrastructure Development Fund. And it has stated categorically that these funds are going to help in developing some of the roads and other, be it affordable markets and affordable hostels. So we also beseech that we fast track the process so that these institutions can be able to get the hostels that can accommodate these students, because some of the students are coming from poor backgrounds that cannot sustain to pay the rent within the due course. Another thing, we are talking about the youth inclusion when it comes to more funds allocation in terms of SMEs or the youth groups. Because you'll find that when we are allocating funds in terms of the SMEs, most of the funds are taken to the old generations, but the youth who are taking 80% of the population of this country are denied a chance to get these funds. Because when you apply, you are told, we need a company that is working for more than 3 years. Where are these people getting these funds so that they can have this company to run? So we beseech you, please add more inclusion in this youth, give more funds when it comes to the SMEs, and then we will be very much appreciative. On the issue of the privatization of the Safaricom and the pipeline, we beseech that at least we have a strategic assets protection, so that as we are privatizing these assets, can we have a clear protection on the assets, not just privatizing without a clear protection. Another thing, we need transparency and public participation, because you just read in the newspapers and you are told that we've privatized Safaricom, we've privatized pipeline. So as a youth and as comrades of this great country, we beseech that at least you have a talk with us the way you've had this one today, so that each and every person in this country may be able to understand each and every step that is being partaken in each and every activity. Also, as you are doing the public participation, you also involve the lower class, because they also add value to this economy. Lastly, as you've had this conversation, I'd like to say that this will not be the last conversation with the young people, but we beseech that coming in the future, we also, just students alone, have a talk with you so that we can share these conversations together. We can shape this country together for the betterment of tomorrow. As I've said, I'm Mal Wilberforce, I do water engineering Waziri, and I'm almost to finish my academics. In case of anything, we need to develop this country together, na nikipewa chance hapo mbele siwezi kataa. Asante.
Thank you, Wilberforce. Asante sana. Lastly, now I'll take one representative from the university, that is Masinde Muliro, University of Science and Technology. I'll welcome Valentine Obade to speak on behalf of them. Valentine Obade, quickly. Let's clap for Valentine as he comes. That is the largest university in the region, Masinde Muliro University of Science and Technology. Valentine, quickly.
$1 million, 2 million, testing microphone, 1 million. I believe that this meeting was to be fiscal as possible. Cindy, I'm really grateful first to the Almighty. Thanks for my mannerism of taking a back seat, but as you know, that we are told that the highest level of studies, because I believe that learning is continual and never ceases, is at the university. But when I have got my elders, and the spaces are little, as a wise man, we do what? We bend the knee. So I bent the knee, and we were there. Waziri, by your permission, I know time is of much essence and we don't have much. I would plead with you. I would plead with you humbly, together with the audience, that I invite one member to take around 3 minutes so that we can sum it up, because this is also the summit of studies. Kindly, if you allow me. Yes, so down.
To Waziri, FCPA John Mbadi, the Governor of Kakamega, FCPA Fernandez Baraza, the MCAs around, the National Student Budget Forum Committee, led by Bwana Aira, the comrades around, good morning. Comrades, power! Comrades, power! Comrades, wisdom! Comrades, two-term! Comrades, two-term! I go by the name Odongo James. Odongo James is a student leader from Masinde Muliro University. I come from Siaya County, the county of legends. We are still mourning Baba, though I don't want to touch there. And for that reason, I want us to take 1 minute of silence to kumbuke baba. Thank you so much. Now, Bwana Waziri, the man before you is not just a student leader, but also someone who people depends on for direction. As I stand here, most of these comrades here in Western as a whole, they refer to me as the chairman. From our small home, that is the Luo, all the leaders in Masinde Muliro University, Alope University, Kibabe University, Sigalagala Polytechnic, thank you. I am their chair. And so, meet Waziri, but they could not get a chance because the chances were limited. But believe you me, outside there we have so many comrades who are disciplined. They are not just comrades, but disciplined comrades. And they want to have a chat with you. So even as we talk about the budget and the privatization, we want to let you know that so many comrades wanted to come here. That brings me to this point, that the national committee is not just enough. We need to narrow it down to the county level, so that in all the 47 counties, we have a representative who can reach comrades in their respective counties. Clap for me, comrades. Why am I saying this? Because whatever we are discussing here, after this, there is need for us to share this information. Me alone as Odongo, I'm in most, and perhaps I may be the only student who is coming from Siaya County here. And so if I am to share with the comrades whatever we have discussed today, only the people who can access my social media platforms or even my personal number will get this information. But now if we can narrow it down so that we also have committees in our 47 counties, then it can be more productive. And that will enable the youths, not just comrades, but the youths back in the villages to know matters fiscal planning. Number two, on behalf of the comrades, juzi hapa rais amekuwa akizindua hii program ya Nyota, and the target audience are people who did not make it to the university. We have many comrades who have been graduating, but then after graduation they end up being jobless. How I wish that the government can consider to give the graduates a grant. Immediately we graduate, we can qualify to get a grant of maybe 20,000, because I believe someone who has been educated is someone who has skills, and therefore when given resources, he can do something. I'm not saying that to underrate those who did not make it to the university or colleges, but I'm saying that to help the government, because we are forgetting, or rather we are leaving people who have skills. Last but not least, Bwana Waziri na Bwana Governor, hapa iko comrades wengi sana na wamekuja kuwasalimia. So on the behalf of comrades who are here, I kindly request that tukimaliza na waomba muangalie na macho mazuri jameni. Asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki. Nikisema one tunasema two term. One, two term. One, two term. Baraza, two term. Baraza, two term. Mbadi, two term. Mbadi. Na Ruto je? Ruto je? Asanteni sana.
Thank you. I believe it was in order, because that is Kerodongo, not the President of the Republic, but Kerodongo in Western fraternity or caucus. Now you know. Yes, I was told about the power of silence, and I want to wrap it up. I believe that the youth carries the vigor of this nation, while Wazee carries the wisdom. So Wazee wisdom. Wazee wisdom. You hear they have wisdom but no vigor. Now I want to hear it from the youth. Comrades, power! Comrades, power! Comrades, viva! Thank you to the CS Treasury, to the Governor, Dr. Fernandez, to all the dignitaries, to Bunge la Wananchi, and the greatest of all powers after the power of God, the comrades. Good morning. I am Obade Daniel Valentine, and as I told you, Waziri, that the epitome of everything in the youth sector is the university. As you have seen what had just happened, that tells you that even if it is on politics and everything, it's in the university. But let me not be ignorant about the topic of today, which was privatization of Safaricom and pipeline companies together with the budget. Now, what I want to say is this. Before, we have been acting ignorantly. People have been acting because they do not know the gist of whatever it is. As we speak, the government is planning to sell 15% of its shares, which around is 6 billion. I'm not an economic student, but I've got a test for such things. I'm a medical student. But what am I trying to say? If at 15 we are going to get a whooping 240 billion, that is going to help tackle the very detrimental services that we need without raising taxes or borrowing, then we as the youth of this country, we are in for it. I believe this is the discussion that we people should do what? We should look unto. Not just hearing when someone yaps and says that, you know, things are going to be your Safaricom is going to be sold. What I'm praying for is that the confidentiality and safety of our data be taken care of, because I know at the end of it all, the government is going to remain with 20% ownership, which is very fair. Lastly, as I finish, Waziri, there's a verse in the Bible, Revelation 2 verse 19, which says that I know thy works, I know thy patience, I know thy faith. Many people don't know truly how a good workman you are. I am from Super South, and I can tell them, because apart from that, you are a trailblazer. Mr. John had just said here that there is no one that has ever come, there is no CS that has come and talked to you. Otherwise, Mungu akubariki, tuwe pamoja. Nataka kusikia salute the comrades, and I'm the incoming president of MUST 2026, 2027, and we will continue working together. Comrades power! Comrades power! Mungu awabariki.
Thank you, Valentine. Governor, that is the incoming president, Masinde Muliro, University of Science and Technology. Silence. Silence. Kakamega hoye. Kakamega hoye. We are going now to the county government. Presentation of the members of the county assembly. I'll start with the persons with disability representative. Representative, that is Honorable Kabiti. Please. Honorable Habiti. Ha? Okay, that one. Hatibi. Let's welcome Honorable Hatibi as she comes to speak. Where is she? Oh, we can take the mic to her. The mic is coming. Let's clap for Honorable.
Waziri wetu, gavana na wale ambao wameweza kualikwa, habari zenu wote. Kwa majina naitwa Roselyn Katibi Akoi, na represent person with disability katika bunge letu la Kakamega County Assembly. Jambo la kwanza nataka nishukuru waziri kwa ajili ya kuja Kakamega na kupata maoni yetu. Walemavu wangapi wako hapa? Inua mikono. Tuko walemavu 1 2 karibu 4. Waziri, nafikiri ya kwamba ni vizuri pia tukiwa na mkutano kama huu walemavu waakilishwe vizuri. Na tukiangalia tena katika paneli ya waziri, pole, sijaona wakiakilishwa hapo na mlemavu, ambapo najua kwamba katika katiba letu yafaa tuwe na 5% yetu. Nataka niko na mambo mawili matatu tu, sina mambo mengi. Nataka niulize, tuko na privatization ni mzuri, lakini ombi langu ni kwamba kama Kakamega County ama katika Western yetu tutapata share gani? Na ni kampuni gani ambazo zitakuwa privatized? Ni vizuri tujue hizo kampuni na tujue share yetu kama Western tutapata nini na walemavu tutapata nini. Jambo lingine ni kwamba wafanyikazi wetu ama wafanyikazi ambao watakuwa wanafanya kazi katika hizo kampuni, tuko na surety gani kama sisi watu wa Western tutapata hiyo kazi, tutaweza kuingia katika hizo ajira. Jambo lingine ni kwamba ni vizuri tujue ni walemavu wangapi wataweza kuandikwa, kwa sababu wakati tunapofanya mambo ya advertisement, walemavu wameweza kusoma, na pia kuna wale ambao ni vizuri ya kwamba tufanye nini, wakuwe katika kitengo cha mbele kuandikwa, ama katika ile 5% yetu tu katika hizo nini tupate. Alafu la mwisho ni kwamba privatization should be open and transparent, and the possibility bidding and printing should be open, ili walemavu wakaweze kupata hizo ajira. Hata kama ni polisi nini, walemavu ningeomba kwamba sijaiona mlemavu akiwa polisi. Kwa hivyo naomba kwamba mtukumbuke. Unajua ni vizuri, unajua naongea hivyo kwa sababu waziri yako hapa. Msitutenge sana. Asante.
Mheshimiwa Hatibi, Mheshimiwa amesema kuwa anajiuliza ni kwa nini hayuko hapa mbele, lakini waziri ni mwenye fikra na busara, ndio maana alisema lazima uongee, na amesikia yale ambayo umesema. Asante. We'll also have another representative from the County Assembly, that is Honorable Akosi. Honorable Akosi, you can come quickly.
Waziri wetu CS Mbadi, gavana wa jimbo la Kakamega, FCPA Fernandez Baraza, na wananchi wote, Mungu yu mwema kila wakati. Kwa majina naitwa Boniface Akosi. Mimi ni MCA wa bunge gatuzi la Kakamega, wadi ya Shinoi Shikomari Esumea kule eneo bunge la Navaholo. Kwanza kabisa, kwa ruhusa ya naibu wa spika, naomba kusema tumekuja hapa waheshimiwa, na pia tulikuja na wafanyikazi wa bunge la gatuzi la Kakamega ambao hatukuweza kuwatambua. Tunaomba tu waweze kutambulika kuwa wako pamoja na sisi. So may the staffs of the County Assembly of Kakamega be upstanding for recognition. Yes, those are our think tanks, and whatever discussion we are having here, those are the ones who are going to put it into a functional document. We appreciate your presence. Thank you. Waziri, we want to appreciate for the session we have here. And on behalf of the members of the County Assemblies, one, thank you to have come down to meet us and meet the people of this great county of Kakamega for this very noble conversation. We have two conversations around here. One is on privatization. And the simple question in the House is, are we discussing about the ownership or the efficiency? If we are able to answer that, we will not really struggle on the privatization issue of the two proposed parastatals. If the efficiency, if they are giving the service to the people and Kenyans are benefiting, then we have no problem with it. However, our trouble will be if we privatize, get whatever, offload whatever shares we have, get those funds to the national kitty, then those funds are not put into the proper use, then there will be a problem. So Waziri, we would really want to task you with that. Whatever that is being collected and taken to the national kitty, we are just openly asking, let it be put into the proper use, because what Kenyans want are better services. And once we get the better services, we will not have any trouble with whatever policies or whatever proposals you are bringing to our end. We shall reciprocate by supporting the cause. The government has never been in the business of making profit. The government has always been in the business of giving service to its citizens. So we appreciate for your coming, and because you sat and you have real economists and planners around the ministry, I know they're giving you the right advices that will see Kenya move forward. About budgets and making process, the 2026-2027, again, another question in the House is a simple one. There is budgeting and there is the implementation. We make so many proposals during the budget making process. Some we get to see them, many we never get to see them put into action. So our prayer will be, as a people, especially the Western region, for a very long time we felt we've been sidelined, tumeachwa nyuma. Whatever programs we are proposing, we are saying we appreciate this government. However, we will want to see many of the programs that were started being completed. And once that is done, again as a people, we will always support the process. But if we come during the budget making process, make our numerous proposals, and we don't get to see them being implemented, that's when we always sometimes see people look like they are resisting when they're just saying, we made a number of we made a number of proposals that have not been materialized. However, I work with the County Assembly of Kakamega, and we really want to I want to appreciate the youth leader who so recognized our fallen hero, Baba Raila Amolo Odinga. I belong to UDA, but we are in broad-based government. Raila Amolo Odinga was the father of devolution. If we really cherished and loved Raila, let us protect devolution. Devolution today, counties are the biggest employers today. And for us to defend devolution, Waziri, now that you are here, we can never be functional. You know, functions as accompanied with the resources. We have continued to experience delayed exchequer releases. However, this government has tried compared to the previous regimes. On that one, because I worked with the County Assembly of 1722, 22-27, to be very honest, you are giving your best. However, we continue to witness those delays. But Waziri, the problem is not just about the exchequer release. for the governor here to be able to implement whatever proposed projects, resources must be made available. There is another office that you must raid and address, the Office of the Controller of Budgets. That office, it has a lot of bureaucracies that the exchequer may be released on the 15th of this month and funds will be accessed after a month. While everybody believes funds are with the counties, funds are still being held in the National Treasury because of the bureaucracies by the Controller of Budget Office. That is a conversation that if we really want to see these governments operate efficiently and smoothly, that must be addressed. And finally, it saddens me to see sometimes when our leaders are just fighting to agree on how much must get to the counties. It saddens me. Waziri, you can be the savior here. If they are proposing less, you give more, so that you confirm to them that there is this money. But if you are the one who tried to negotiate hapo waambie ndeni mtufinya hapo hivyo, these counties are serving the very people this national government is serving, and we want the best for these people, and the best can only come accompanied with the resource allocation. With that much, I want to thank you. Mubarikiwe sana, mimi ndiye Akosi. Thank you.
For gender parity, finally we'll welcome Honorable Victoria Zila. Let's clap for Mheshimiwa as she comes.
Thank you so much. Our Cabinet Secretary, Treasury, Honorable Mbadi, my able Governor, Dr. Fernandez Baraza, all stakeholders present, good morning. I am Victoria Zila, a member of the County Assembly. The tragedy of speaking last, it's because much or almost everything has been said. However, just to build on what my colleagues have said, on privatization, Bwana Mbadi, I want to use a very simplistic analogy to explain it. I'm a parent and I'm a mother. You assume I have a family, and I know every day I incur expenses. I have to see how well I can be able to manage my family, right? So I'll need to establish funds on how my children can be educated. And maybe I have a kid who has a special need that needs funds to support healthcare, among very many other needs. Sometimes, sitting down and saying, today I'll sell my vehicle and use the money to finance, it might be difficult. If I don't manage that funds properly, I will still go back to the same problem. Then tomorrow I'll sell my piece of land. And another day I'll sell my investment. And I'll be stuck in that circle because of one thing, poor management of those funding. When we talk today about privatization, we are talking about giving out our investment as a nation to the private sector. The fear is, and what stakeholders contributed here, how well are we ring-fencing these funds? Do we have proper framework to ensure that these funds are well managed and safeguarded so that as a nation we can prosper? How well can we oversight these funds? How secure are these funds? Those are the questions that everybody is asking. Because at the end of the day, we might end up privatizing our national treasure and end up as a nation that has failed to prosper. Bwana Mbadi, as you come here, I'll want you to convince me that it makes sense that if we privatize these funds, we'll be able to prosper as a country. On budgeting, I'll just want to say a few things because much has already been said, especially by my predecessor, Akosi, about the challenges we are having from exchequer release to the control of budget office. I wouldn't wish to repeat that. But as someone who has been in the CSO world for 10 years, a strong advocate of healthcare, Bwana Mbadi, I'm a bit worried. You understand the current situation as a country. We are having our major donors who are exiting. We have USAID, which has closed down, and many other international partners. Truth be told, these partners played a very key role in supporting the healthcare sector, especially for the county governments. Today, my governor here has to work extra hard to ensure he delivers in healthcare. But truth be told, the resources available today are not sufficient. Healthcare is such a huge burden. We have the Ministry of Health at the national government. I would wish to beg, as you do your budgeting next time, prioritize healthcare. We can never thrive with a nation that is not healthy. And I'd also wish to suggest that as they get this funding, let them complement what we are doing at the county level. We are having a serious issue with cancer. Bwana Mbadi, most facilities don't have the capacity to do screening. If we are not able to take care of preventative measures, we have a very huge crisis ahead of us. I'm worried as a mother, how can we ensure that we have maternal death coming down to zero? The county government has funding, yes. We do our best to budget that, but it is not enough. I request that we increase on funding towards healthcare so that we can be able to cushion the counties. Number 2, on budgeting, I would appreciate if we also look into infrastructure development. I want to acknowledge and salute your government for the deal of ensuring there's a dual carriage from Nairobi to Rironi, the Nairobi-Rironi Summit. It is very important if we extend that before we go into the next election to the Western region. That is the only way we can open up the market in Western Kenya and opening up to our neighboring countries. Education sector, as much has already been mentioned, it is my prayer that we collapse all funds. There is no point of having too many bursaries. We have Ministry of Education, they have their own funding, we have help. The dream was to ensure we have free education. And how do we get there? Education is the basic equalizer of humanity right now. We are struggling at many levels, but when we make education affordable, we'll be able to have a very productive country. Lastly, Bwana Mbadi, Kakamega County, I was born and raised here. Kakamega County is very strategic. Even our predecessors ensured infrastructure and the governor has expanded on the same. Kakamega County is the second most populous county in Kenya. That means there's a very huge burden of young people who are 74%, and most of them are not employed. I want us to think differently. Most of the time while we do our budgeting, we are not looking at how best do we address these issues. Sending our people abroad might not be able to solve it. Some of us, we are so attached to our motherland, we are not willing to go and work abroad. I appreciate that we have an industrial park in Likuyani. Thank you so much. I appreciate we have an industrial park in Likuyani, whereby the county government is supposed to contribute 50%, and national government produce 50%. I want you to look today at Kakamega County from a very different lens. The sector, industrial sector that exists here majorly is the sugar sector. We had a vision of having a motorcycle plant. We have a vision of ensuring our young people in cottage industries are able to grow and create employment for their peers. It is my prayer that as you do your budgeting next time, let's place Kakamega as a very strategic place that we can develop several industries, and please ensure that. That way, we will be able to turn around the economy of this country. That way, we will be able to create employment for these young people. That way, we'll be able to prosper as a county. And as a member of county assembly, that is one way we can increase our revenue collection. Lastly, allow me mention one thing, because I'm the goodwill ambassador of this project. We have a plan to establish a 2 billion worth aquaculture center and research institute in Matungu. I want to appreciate my governor here. He has been kind enough and he has donated 25 acres towards that development. This is a project under Kenya Marine. Kenya Marine has heavily depended on donors to ensure they expand on this sector. Kakamega has a great potential for aquaculture. So I want to beseech you, as you do your next budgeting, beyond us waiting for them to be supported by World Bank to bring this dream to life, kindly prioritize funding that parastatal so that they can also actualize this dream. And we will really appreciate. For those very few or very many remarks, thank you so much. Asante.
Thank you. At this point, we will first introduce the governor, Kakamega County, Governor Fernandez Baraza, who will answer the first set of questions. Please let's all be upstanding as we welcome Governor.
Thank you, asanteni. Yeah, first I want to sincerely appreciate all of you for making time to attend this very important session of public participation on matters privatization and the budget for 2026-2027. Bwana Waziri, before I delve into the specifics that require my attention, I want to appreciate you because you are one of the CSs who has really revolutionized the budget making process, and by coming down here to meet wananchi, that's really a plus for you. And I want to laud you for that effort, and also to appreciate our students from Sigalagala, KMTC, na pia what you most. Students, power! Power! Asante. You have to be compliant. First and foremost, there are many projects we are implementing in this county with the national government, which I'll be failing in my duties if I don't highlight them. We are implementing Buhungu International Stadium with national government. So far, the project is ongoing, and we expect by August this year, Buhungu International Stadium will be done. And then, of course, that will enable us to host African Cup of Nations next year. Hapo tunasema ni, we are also implementing jointly with national government the Kakamega Level 6 Hospital. The government has put in 1.2 billion Kenya shillings. This is a 750 bed capacity hospital. It is going to be a referral hospital of its kind in this region. We really want to appreciate the President for his magnanimity to make sure that this project is completed this year. By September, hopefully we shall be commissioning Kakamega Level 6 Hospital, and this will address some of the challenges we have, especially on unemployment of the youth. So wale ambao wako hapa KMTC, and all the other students pursuing clinical medicine, etc., will have an opportunity. We have 3,000 employment opportunities that will be created after completion of Kakamega Level 6 Referral Hospital. Wapi makofi ya rais pale? Jointly, we're also implementing the industrial park. This is a project that is supposed to transform this region, and the national government is putting 250 million. The county government has also put in 250 million. We are expecting by end of this year that this industrial park, which is also going to be an aggregation center, will be completed, and it will support the supply chain programs and also support our farmers in matters export and agribusiness. So I want really to appreciate national government for the support, because under Article 187 of the Constitution, we must collaborate with national government for purposes of serving our people. Specifically on this occasion where we are having views on privatization and the budget making process, there are quite a number of issues which have come to my attention. Bwana Peter, the business community, I agree with you on the concerns of harmonizing the taxes so that we avoid the double taxation between the national government and also the counties. The PFM Act is very clear on what is chargeable by the county government so that to avoid duplication. This is the property taxes, land rates and levies. And the national government, of course, has the main budget sources. I think what we'll need to really look at is just to make sure that maybe inter-county levies are harmonized, especially when we have programs that cut across the counties. But on the issue of double taxation, you should not worry because the law is very clear. On the infrastructure, I know the national government has done extremely well. The President commissioned the construction of this road from the airport, Shinyalu, Rondo Junction, up to Chepsonoi. As we speak right now, kazi inaendelea pale. In order to link Kakamega to Bungoma, there is also the C41, the famous C41, kutoka Lurambi, Navaholo, hadi Musikoma. Again, works are ongoing, so that will open up this region and facilitate the business community. Bungele Mwananchi, Penina Piketty, I agree with you, we need more funds, especially on grants to the women. As a county, we have allocated some funds, but the bigger issue is the vertical share, which if it's increased, then we're also going to increase funding to these grants to women. John, I agree with you that we really need to consolidate the bursaries. The same has really been alluded to by Victoria. This consolidation will help the national government. Where we sit as the county, it's very clear that we don't have the business of giving bursaries. By the consolidation, I know there's some law that is being worked on. It will really be very good so that we don't have duplicity on the bursaries. That is an aspect that we really support. What we want is, one, it has been legislated. It should be consolidated enough to make sure that all the deserving cases, if the fund is going to be administered by the Member of Parliament, then the key issue is the transparency, so that the deserving cases get to be assisted. On the issue of EGP, digitization of the procurement is a good thing because we are going to really address the wastage. What the counties have really been asking for is just time to implement. We need to have a sunset clause so that we can onboard everybody. It's not that we are rejecting or we are opposed to efficiency in procurement. So we really support the issue of EGP, but let's have a sunset clause so that the implementation is not rushed. When you bring everybody on board, including Mama Mboga, and I know Bunge la Mwananchi, Mama Piketty, you are representing Mama Mboga, let them come on board so they're not disadvantaged. Because without thinking through the EGP, some of those specific affirmative action, like the procurement that should be reserved for the vulnerable groups, EGP does not understand that. So when we get more time to think through, then we can create an affirmative action within the electronic government payment system so that it is more effective to improve on efficiency and also to accommodate the special groups. Bunge la Wananchi, John, you don't have to wait for Waziri. Mukini invite, mimi nitakuja pale. Because I like getting views from Wananchi. So you don't have to wait. Waziri akuje hapa, ndio tuwe na kikao na Bunge la Wananchi. Wilberforce, President of Sigalagala, I cannot agree with you more because security of our students is critical. The only way we can improve on security is to have street lighting. And street lighting, the biggest challenge we have is inadequate allocation of funds to counties. And that is why I want to agree with my colleagues who have spoken earlier, that let's resource the counties, because when we have insecurity, the first point of call is the counties. I know it's a function that is domiciled in the national government, but sisi watu wa ground are the ones who really feel the heat. I want also to agree with the summit chair summit. I know we have the apex. Odongo, I cannot agree with you more. The grants za nyota zipewe graduates pia, because these are young men and women, at least to have some bit of acumen in terms of management of resources. So that is something that Waziri can respond to. In terms of the allocation of the budget to counties, Akosi, one of the Apex members, you really brought it out. Summits. You know, Waziri, we have the summit and the Apex. So Kolwana summit pale most, but you have another summit in the assembly. So really, Baba, our departed party leader, was so passionate about devolution. And in the 10-point agenda that was signed by the president, who is the party leader of UDA, and our departed party leader, they really pronounced themselves on supporting devolution, even putting a figure there of a minimum of 450 billion Kenya shillings as being what is adequate to finance counties. I know I wear another hat as the chair of Finance, Planning and Economic Affairs Committee at the Council of Governors. By virtue of that position, Waziri, as we speak right now, we are making comments on the budget policy statement for 26-27, and the 420 billion Kenya shillings that has been proposed is not adequate to fund counties, because it is just a paltry increase of 5 billion, because you're moving from 415 to 420. So for us to make sure that we really support some of those functions which were unbundled at our 12th summit, let's really think through the budget making process and allocate adequate funds. Healthcare is a devolved function. We agreed that UHC staff will transit to counties and be employed on P&P. And the condition was, let's have a specific allocation of 8.97 billion. If that can be included in the budget for purpose of the equitable share, we'll really agree and support. We also appreciate the adjustment for revenue growth, because there are many cost centers that have increased. If you can get the adjustment of 35 billion, that would be very good, as proposed by CRA, because I also have the advantage of getting the proposal from CRA. We have the unbundled and delineated assets and functions of around 65.97 billion. So really, when you look at that aggregation, the 415 being the baseline, not 387, put 65.97 billion for unbundled assets and functions. Add 8.9 for UHC, because you want to absorb the UHC staff from the next financial year. And finally, adjustments for growth of 35. So if you can humbly consider, and you know you are really a friend of devolution. When you were appointed, you were very excited that really we have now gotten a CS who is progressive, an FCPA, and a CS ambaye anaelewa mambo ya mwananchi. Counties will really be happy if you can consider 525 billion Kenya shillings as the vertical share in DORA, and this will really go a long way in enabling us to offer some of those specific requests or asks that have come from the floor. Otherwise, on my behalf and the behalf of the county government of Kakamega, I really want to appreciate you. This is a very progressive program of public participation, and is really going to inform a lot in the final budget policy statement of 2026-2027. Because I have another engagement, Waziri, before I allow the PS for investment to come and make a few remarks, I really want to thank you and thank the national government here, represented by the county commissioner. Our collaboration with the national government is really impacting positively on implementation of programs of national priority. So mimi nakushukuru, and I want to encourage all the participants. Vile waziri ako hapa, even after he has given his remarks, if you still have any burning issue, waziri ako hapa, he will listen to you. Students power. Summit chair, najua muko around 150 here, tumeongea na waziri, so that the transport ya wana summits and the students who are here will be taken care of by myself na waziri. So mimi kwa summit nitapatiana 50,000 Kenya shillings. So Odongo, najua wewe ndio summit chairman. So chairman summit, kuja chukua hii mchango wangu, because mtoto akililia kitu lazima apewe na mzazi. Sawa. Makofi kwa summit chair, na waziri pia anacheza kama yeye. 100,000 Kenya shillings. Waziri apigiwe makofi. Very well. Chair Kipra summit, unajua bado. Chair Kipra anaongeza kitu kwa summit. Na mimi najua nyinyi wana youth, mambo ni 2 term. Hapa Kakamega sisi tuliamua ni 2 term. Sawa sawa? Na tunajua tukishirikiana hivyo, we are going to transform this county and this country. With those many remarks, it is now my singular duty to invite the PS investment, Mr. Odede, to make a few remarks, ambaye baadaye atakaribisha PS Makoha, who will in turn invite our chief guest, waziri wetu wa National Treasury. I think, Bwana Waziri, because you know my schedule, it was really an honor for me to be here. So mkiona nikitoka mapema, I'm supposed to join my party leader in Busia so that we can consolidate the gains of forming the next government of ODM and UDA in 2027. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki. Karibu bwana pia.
Nipita Roshiro tena na wana Kakamega Kings ndani ya nyumba. Julia uko na lesho baba. Olera maloso kaneze malizoroli moyo kwenyi umere kutachiranga olera maloso kaneze malizoroli.
Aya. God is good and all the times. Comrades, power. Where are the comrades? They are all there. Waziri, before I make my comments, let me declare my interest. I'm saying this because, number one, all the things that you are being asked by Kenya Medical Training College, those are the same issues that have been, they always ask me in the house. My spouse is a principal at Kenya Medical Training College, now Nyamira campus. And when I hear what they are asking, that is what they always ask me. Number two, my sister-in-law was born and bred in Kakamega. And she always asks me again, what do you people have for Kakamega? So I was thinking that she's being sent by these people to ask me that question. It is good that today they've asked you that question. So, Cabinet Secretary, who is also my leader, my boss, the Principal Secretary, State Department for Planning at the National Treasury, members of County Assembly and Executive present today, the business community represented, student leaders from various institutions, distinguished members of Bunge la Wananchi na Bunge la Wamama, all invited guests, wananchi wenzangu, ladies and gentlemen, I believe it is still good morning. I take this opportunity again to welcome you all to this regional engagement forum here in Kakamega. This is the second of the 8 forums which the Cabinet Secretary is presiding, starting with Migori yesterday. Today, he's in Kakamega. He will be in Eldoret tomorrow, Nakuru, Meru, Garissa, Kiambu, and Kilifi counties. The objective of this forum is to create public awareness on the government's budget-making process and the ongoing privatization of government-owned enterprises. This is in tandem with the Kenya Constitution 2010, which underscores access to information and public participation, and the engagement brings together participants representing various interest groups across our county. During today's forum, you have had opportunity to engage with the team from the National Treasury, headed by Cabinet Secretary, in unpacking the value and place of applying privatization to realize an effective budgetary process for Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, the aim of privatization is to create ample space for private sector's participation in nation building, while elevating government to the key role of providing enabling policy and regulations. Privatization is also essential in generating revenue for the government without increasing debt or taxation. As you may be aware, the budget making process starts in August every year, when the Cabinet Secretary, National Treasury, issues circulars to all national government entities outlining the guidelines for preparing the budget. The circulars includes a schedule for budget preparation, including key dates, procedures for the review, and projections of revenue and expenditure, and procedures for public participation. And that is why we are in Kakamega today. I want to assure you that public input is actively sought through consultations, forums, and submissions to ensure that the budget aligns with the priorities of citizens. This explains why we are here today. CS, allow me to tackle the issue that has been raised on EGP, e-government procurement process. We have embarked on the rollout of electronic government procurement system, known as EGP, to enhance efficiency in the supply chain management. And you know, previously, all the scandals in government starts from procurement. And that is why the CS found it necessary that we bring this matter to a rest. I urge people of Kakamega to register their companies in the EGP system to enable them access government opportunities, especially 30% reserved for women, youth, and persons with disabilities. In the month of February, I've been having discussions with the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce, and the representative is here, so that we can educate the suppliers, because what we are finding out is that the suppliers are making errors so that they are unable to procure anything within the county government or national government. So the sensitization will start in February, and I urge all the students, the youth, and the suppliers, those who want to do business with government, to attend such sensitizations so that they can know how to navigate the EGP system. I have started receiving the reports for the first and second quarter, and I can assure you that it is not good, because the 30% reserved for women, youth, and those living with disabilities is only 7% against the 30%, meaning that the youth, women, and those living with disabilities are not going for this slot that has been reserved for them. So please make sure that is done. Having said that, I now urge all of you to keenly follow today's proceedings candidly, engage and provide your feedback that is necessary in reaching the budget-making process and privatization process. And with those few remarks, it is now my honor and duty to invite my fellow cabinet, my fellow principal secretary, Dr. Boniface Makoa, to come and also make his remarks. Please clap for Makoa.
Asante sana, my brother. Waziri, the governor in absentia, together with the county assembly, county executives that are here, bunge la wamama, bunge la wananchi, students, all stakeholders represented here, I greet you, Bwana asifiwe. Good morning. Is it morning or afternoon? It's afternoon. I want to see us before I make my few remarks, if you allow me, just to recognize the chair of KIPRA, who is here with us, Professor Wachana. I don't know whether we have other KIPRA people. Okay, thank you. Yes, KIPRA, thank you. We have several KIPRA staff that have come along, and I'll mention reasons why we brought KIPRA along. I thought it is important for them to participate in this. Number one, number one, while recognizing KIPRA, Your Excellency, CS, it is because everything that we are dealing with here, matters of budget, matters of privatization, these are policy issues. And the policy advisor to the government, the think tank, is the KIPRA team. So that if we are talking about any policy, we want to tag them along so that they are able to provide advisory on time in terms of any policy that the government is implementing or thinking of implementing. So they are key. They are providing research for your consumption, and I have told them to pull up their socks and be able to run ahead of you and prepare the ground in terms of policy advisory. Number two, allow me also to recognize my colleagues who are under your watch, the National Treasury. The National Treasury has 3 state departments. The National Treasury, the Public Investment and Asset Management, and the Economic Planning State Department that I lead. So humbly, sir, together with your team, if you could just kindly stand so that the congregation can be able to see we are here. Everybody from National Treasury, Asante. Thank you, sir. We can clap for them. The stakeholders present, as you heard, my name is Boniface Makoha, PS Economic Planning. And I am the son of the soil. I come from this region. I come from Kakamega, Busia. Kakamega, I have interacted with you, not once, not twice, on different occasions. But I am here just to add my voice to what the CS will come and expound on. Number one, in the State Department of Economic Planning, our slogan under the CS is that everything we do must be data-driven, people-focused, and result-oriented. Our part 2 of people-focused, that is why we are here. And as we talk of 2 things, I have touched on privatization, saying we have KIPRA telling us on the policies. I also want to touch on budget. If any budget is bound to fail unless we have a plan, this State Department participates in budgeting processes to ensure that there is fidelity to the plan that we put in place. that anything that is being budgeted for, our staff and the technical team will check against the plan. And the plan I'm talking about is the Vision 2030, which is implemented through MTPs. Right now we are implementing MTP4, which is our 5-year plan as a country, where the CIDPs from the counties fit in. So budgeting as we do it, planning function is key for us to check. Whatever you are proposing for the budgets to be allocated to, was it in the plan? Somebody said, if you don't plan, then you plan to fail. And our team is very strict that those things that we are proposing, as much as they are very good, if we did not include them in the plan, then we put aside to ensure they are included in the MTP plan. Number two, probably the MTP plan that we are implementing might have not captured so many of the issues that we are raising. At the State Department, we have rolled out a process to do what is called midterm review of this plan. And because this is a very important activity that we would want to have all stakeholders participate in this, together with the CS, we have put in place the engagement roadmap, what we are calling Gumzo la Uchumi Mashinani. This will help us to do a review and also to inform our long-term plan. So we had a question of ensuring that people, representatives are from all the 47 counties. I want to assure you that with the CS we have already put in place the plan to engage all the 47 counties at grassroots to discuss our economic planning and the budgeting issues. So this is an assurance to you. Allow me to read the official remarks very quickly, sir, and then bring you over to speak to your people. Let me start with the budget, because that is what affects your life every day. Budget is the primary instrument for translating government policy into action, functioning as both a financial and a planning tool to achieve development priority. Kenya's budget process, for your information, does not start in June when the budget statement is being read. It starts in August. It started in August last year. From August, the government starts to engage the stakeholder to indicate how do we allocate the resources we have. By this time, or by next month 15, those decisions are already shaped. That is why our engagement here for public participation is not a formality. It is your opportunity to influence priorities before decisions are looked into. Remember, every shilling that comes, every shilling in budget comes either from three places. Number one, taxes, your taxes. Number two, borrowing. And number three, from our assets. Today, if you look at our spending, it is close to almost 1 trillion Kenya shillings every year is used to service our debt. This money is not going to the roads. It's not going to initiatives that we have mentioned, hospital, water, and energy. Therefore, it is important that when we discuss privatization, we should look at it that it is something that will be used to lessen the burden on our debt burden that we have right now. And I want to say that this privatization is not selling Kenya. Privatization is about reducing the pressure on the budget so that the public money is used where it matters most. When government continues to fund insufficient enterprises, the budget suffers. And if it suffers, wananchi also suffers. But when those enterprises are fixed, they are commercialized or partner with private sectors, the budget gets a relief and services improve. And if services improve, jobs become more secure. Yesterday, we had this conversation in Migori, and wananchi asked very tough questions. CS was able to explain, and the outcome was a positive because people understood one thing. Bad systems are the real enemy of job services, not the reforms that are being proposed. When these reforms are planned, the way I've said we planned them, well explained, the way we are doing it right now to Mwananchi, and well executed, they work for the people. That is our desire. And that is why we are here in Kakamega today, to explain to you why budgeting, why privatization is important to all of us. Allow me to not to take a lot of time because it's not my day. I want just to say that your participation matters now, not later. The budget decisions being shaped between now and June determine whether we keep financing inefficiency system or redirect money to things that improve your life. Kakamega's future is not built by protecting systems, and will not be built by protecting systems that do not work efficiently. It will be built by productive farms, built by strong SMEs, built by an efficient urbanization, and privatization done carefully and transparently is one of the tools that can help us do this for this county and the entire country. I want to stop it there and urge us to always voice our concerns, because we have the leadership that listens. We have the CS that has told us office will be office, but we have to go to the field and interact with the people. With those few remarks, it is now my singular honor to invite the CS. I want to ask us to be upstanding as I bring the CS FCPA, John Buddy, to speak to us. Let's give him a clap as he comes.
Hey! Malom kadu minikala enda piusu wafula webuye international. Kulapa ngachiwa ya mbaya sana. Noma bana befu. Wanindi, nife wanindi. Inako severanga bolala. Wanindi, nife wanindi. Inako severanga bolala. Asacha bahamanga chingano. Malom kadu minikala enda piusu wafula webuye international. Kulapa ngachiwa ya mbaya sana. Noma bana befu. Wanindi, nife wanindi.
Asante. Kakamega oye! Kakamega oye! Youth Tibim! Youth Tialala! Comrades power! Huh? Are there comrades in the room? Comrades power! Asanteni sana kwa kunikaribisha hapa siku ya leo, na pia nataka kusema asanteni sana, mlipokea mwaliko wangu na mkakuja kwa wengi. So mtaniruhusu I make my presentations into 3.
First, I will read my official statement. Then after that, I will engage in addressing some of the concerns that have been raised in this forum by your leadership here. And then finally, if it will be necessary, pengine nitakuzia siasa kidogo. Because, you know, a lot of times people say that we should not talk politics. But I think it is lack of understanding of our constitution and lack of understanding of how various offices need to operate. Cabinet secretaries, we are not civil servants. I did not appear in any interview by Public Service Commission like my principal secretary is here. I was appointed politically and I leave the office politically. And therefore I must act political. Tena ningependa kusema vile wengine wamesema hapa mbele yangu ama mbeleni, mimi pia ni Mluya. Wasuba ni Waluya. Wale wanaongea Kisuba sanifu wanaweza engage na Wamaragoli bila shida yoyote. So mimi nimekuja nyumbani, tutaongea kinyumbani, hata kama sitaongea lugha, juu hata nyinyi mko na watoto wenyu wengi wanaishi huko Nairobi na wajui Kiluya. So I'm not the only lawyer who is not able to speak Kiluya. So wacha kwanza nianze na official address. And I want to remind you that this event we are holding today is not an academic exercise. I made a commitment when I got into this office with the people of Kenya that I'm going to change the tradition at the National Treasury, where people sit on the 14th floor and push papers and make decisions without visiting watu mashinani ndiye wajue ni shida gani wananchi wako nazo. Kwa hivyo nikitoka hapa, it would be criminal, let me say, if nothing comes out of our discussion here today. So at least at the bare minimum, there should be a demonstration in the coming budget that I was in Kakamega and that I held a meeting with the people of Kakamega, and I will talk about that once I finish my official statement. So let me start with the big people in the room, the representatives from the University Students Association, our esteemed student team members and members of the business community represented here on the table, members of Bunge la Wananchi, and I want to also mention the governor. He has left, but who is also my professional colleague. He was once my chairman. Principal secretaries, my principal secretaries, the two of them who are in the room. The national government, the Ngao, let me put it in short. Ngao, as represented by the county commissioner, thank you, my brother, and your entire team. I will not forget the grassroots leadership, the members of county assembly, the people who engage with the wananchi on day-to-day basis, as opposed to some of us who sit in Nairobi throughout the week. These ladies and gentlemen are always with you, and they know the problems that people face much more than Mbadi would do. I want to also recognize you. Kipra and distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, again, good afternoon. Let me start by extending to you in this room a warm welcome to this stakeholder engagement forum. I wish to thank all of you for finding time to attend this very critical event that provides us with an opportunity to share our views on the management of public resources in the country, and particularly in the budget process, more so as it relates to our development agenda. This process builds up not only from the meeting that was held on 10th of December 2025 in Nairobi, where I launched the National Budget Students Fora with the sole purpose of embedding a youth-centric perspective into our national economic decision-making process, but also from my previous engagements with Bunge la Wananchi on budget process. I hope you still remember that last year I did a historical engagement at Jivanji Garden. I think I was the first public officer or cabinet minister or even cabinet secretary or minister for that matter to go public and engage in Jivanji Garden with the people of Kenya. During the students' launch, it was agreed on the need for a wider engagement with the youth of this country in their respective regions on matters pertaining to public finance management. Further, in view of the recent government efforts on privatization, it has been deemed fit to broaden this engagement to include also the business community because they understand more issues of privatization or doing business, and the Bunge la Wananchi for a more comprehensive stakeholder information and participation. The successful engagement with the Bunge la Wananchi in the last financial year could only be built upon. Feedback from this engagement has been that this must continue, that we should continue with the engagement. So the National Treasury's engagement with members of the business community is also not new. Under my watch, it has definitely been enriching in shaping our resolve, or my resolve, to have in place more inclusive policies that allow more Kenyans to participate in public resource management. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to emphasize that this is not just a policy initiative, but rather it is a legal obligation rooted in our Constitution, Article 201A, which mandates for public participation in all financial matters so as to enhance transparency, accountability, efficient utilization of resources, and value for money in the management of our public resources. At the National Treasury, we have come to the realization that the government alone cannot effectively respond to the multifaceted challenges facing our country, particularly on unemployment, gaps in skills development, digital literacy, entrepreneurship, and inclusive governance for a more democratic dividend. In this regard, I have prioritized stakeholder participation as a key dimension of governance and one of the pillars for a sustainable development. We shall enhance collaboration with our stakeholders, including the youth, the private sector, experts, civil society organizations, volunteers, and local communities, which is more critical. So by forging partnership and collaboration, the government will harness the ideas, skills, and resources of diverse stakeholders to better delivery policies in transformative ways and address the existing gaps in financial, human, and technical resources. So I wish to reiterate that the youth are a significant demographic of our country, making up 75% of the population with a potential for contributing towards economic development of the country in this regard. Their voices must be central to how we plan, allocate, and utilize our resources. This has therefore necessitated a shift in public financial management towards inclusive and participatory governance where citizens, including the youth, actively engage and participate in policy formulation and act as co-creators of government policies and services. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya has also adopted privatization as a strategic economic policy shift to promote efficiency in the economy by subjecting more services to market forces, to improving competitiveness, revenue generation, aid in fiscal consolidation pathway by reducing government spending on efficient state corporations and market development by deepening Kenya's capital market. I think on that, I will come back to it to explain a few things because the member of County Assembly who spoke here had challenged me or asked me on certain questions or concerns to address. And I think also the same concern was addressed from the panel right in front of you. So the objective of our privatization agenda is to do the following, is to ease the burden of governance of these institutions from the government to the private sector who are better equipped for the market economy. The National Treasury will in this regard continue with sound macroeconomic policies to enhance resilience and create a conducive environment for the private sector, including the local business communities, to thrive. And I will address some of the concerns that were raised regarding what next, regarding the cost, regarding security, including data security. I will address that relating to Safaricom. But I will also speak to your concerns about fuel prices regarding possible privatization of KPC. This strategic response is actually anchored in the bottom-up economic transformation agenda and also on the medium-term plan, MTP4. These frameworks prioritize sectors with high youth employment potential, such as agriculture, micro, small, and medium enterprises, housing sector, health, and the digital and creative economy. So these sectors are not only engines of growth, but also platforms for innovation, entrepreneurship, and job creation for the youth. Over the recent past, the youth of this country have expressed themselves over important national issues, which included high cost of living, unemployment, and governance transparency. I think we are still, this is still very fresh in our heads about what happened in 2024. What we saw, something that was precedent setting in this country, was actually a reaction by our youth on a number of issues. Key among them was the issue of cost of living. Second was unemployment. Our youth is protesting unemployment. They come out of colleges well-trained, armed with expertise, but there are no jobs. So they are protesting loudly, sometimes violently. We must listen to them. The last one is on issues of governance. The youth are simply reacting to opulence that they see being exhibited by public officers, yet at the same time, they feel they are not getting the services that they should get from their government. And so that is the cause for the reaction of the students. And these concerns are valid and demand our immediate attention. Otherwise, we will lose our country. We must respond, we must react, we must act on these concerns. The government has actually committed itself to transforming these frustrations into constructive dialogue and tangible action. This forum, therefore, provides the perfect opportunity to provide our feedback on the necessary actions from the government to address these challenges. So during this process, we will welcome positive critique of our public financial management systems and policies to shape the budget process. Your active engagement in this process will ensure efficient and transparent use of public funds, ensuring that resources allocated to address youth empowerment achieves the intended objectives. And I will request that the presentations, and I must give you credit, I actually listened to the presenters here. Very informative. Very informative. Beginning with the first speaker who came from the business community. My friend, as you are reading, I really felt challenged that you are going to the core of even taxation and proposing tax measures. I will request that your presentations, you do some write-up for us and submit them. Our people will collect your presentations. So during the launch of this process, I was elated to have received a written memorandum. This one we did in Nairobi, outlining some practical measures through which we can enhance financial support for students in tertiary institutions. We have noted the valuable feedback, which includes strengthening financial support for student financing, reforming students' loan financing through fiscal policy, targeted student grant funding for vulnerable students, facilitate provision of affordable student accommodation, and establishing an emergency student support fund. And just to demonstrate to you that this is not an academic exercise, after engaging with the students, I will report here today that, for example, in the financial year that is progressing, 25-26, For higher education loans board, we had provided 41 billion. But now, in this proposed BPS, if you have looked at it, we are proposing 58 billion for higher education loans board. That is an increase of 17 billion shillings. And on the university, what we call the money that we support the students, is not the one that we put and is not a loan. Pardon? Yes. It was 16 billion, but we are moving it to 34 billion. So we are putting under scholarship 34 billion and under higher education loans board 58 billion. That is the proposal. So that is an increase from 57 billion, if you add those two numbers, to 92. An increase of about 35 billion. This is a reaction to address the concerns that students have raised. And I'm looking at how we can fund even high schools better in the next financial year. So that this talk that government is defunding education, which is not true, because look, in 2022 to now, the money that is going to education has increased in this proposed budget by 150 billion. If you compare the budget that was allocated for education in 2022 and compare it to what we have proposed for 2026, this is an increase of about 150 billion. Now going to 748 billion from 703 billion last financial year. That's an increase of 45 billion under the Ministry of Education. But we can even do more. So as we engage, we are also looking at our numbers and give more money to education. A society that fails to educate their people can never progress. So we will consolidate all this alongside the views that we will be receiving from other regional forums during the financial year 2026-2027 budget preparation and in the medium-term budget process. Furthermore, we are also aware that the financial constraints facing our public institutions impact the quality of education and future prospects for our youth. Our strategy emphasizes increased funding, infrastructure development, and curriculum reforms to equip students with skills relevant to the evolving job market, particularly in areas like artificial intelligence, data science, green technologies, and vocational trades. So those are our areas of focus: artificial intelligence, data science, green technologies, and vocational trades. Ladies and gentlemen, as you're aware, the government has been in the process of formulating 2026-2027 budget and the medium-term budget policy. We have in this regard prepared a draft 2026 budget policy statement containing the proposed policies and resources limits for the period. So we are proposing policies and the limit, the budgets or the resource envelope. This document has already been uploaded on the National Treasury website for public review and comments. I am looking forward to receiving valuable comments to inform the finalization before we submit to the National Assembly of Parliament by mid-February. I wish to urge for your concerted effort to enable us build a Kenya where opportunities are accessible to all, where youth are empowered to lead, and where our collective aspirations become reality. Together, we can forge a prosperous, inclusive, and resilient nation. Ladies and gentlemen, privatization, if I come back to privatization a bit before I conclude my official speech, privatization is often part of a broader process of structural reform. Privatization transactions are very complex and require careful consideration of a number of issues. Well-designed and implemented privatization policies are essential to ensure credibility of reforms, to help governments achieve their objectives, and to create efficient and competitive markets for goods and services. So privatization of state-owned enterprises ushers in the private sector to participate in commercial activities that GOEs are undertaking, that is government-owned enterprises. This is necessary because the private sector carries out commercial activities more efficiently than the public sector, especially in a competitive industry. So by the way, I hope you are aware that you as an individual and your private businesses are included when I make reference to the private sector. Private sector is known to be efficient in running business. Actually, all governments are bureaucratic. There is no government that is not bureaucratic. Governments world over are bureaucratic. So if you want to enhance efficiency, you reduce government involvement in business activities, especially where there is competition. So the benefits of privatization include, as opposed to your fears, the benefits of privatization should include lower prices, better quality of goods and services produced, wider choices for consumers, more innovation, minimal red tape in decision making and less corruption. That is the elephant in the room, corruption. To safeguard these benefits of privatization, the government has a social obligation to maintain a fair business environment through appropriate regulations and policies. So even as we privatize, the government will still retain the responsibility of ensuring that we regulate the environment or the business environment through regulations and policies. Already, Kenya has really matured. Kenya has developed a fairly robust regulatory environment with the Competition Authority of Kenya overseeing all sectors of the economy, supported by sector-specific regulators such as Communication Authority of Kenya, among others. Privatization has a key tool to address the following three major economic balances. That is government debt, public expenditure, and revenue raising. In this regard, a robust program must be designed to address fiscal sustainability challenges by limiting government debt, constraining budget deficits, and promoting counter-cyclical fiscal policy. Having pursued fiscal consolidation, ladies and gentlemen, in the past, let me say 3 years, the policy has now reached optimal levels and hence cannot be pushed further. The government tried to push further more taxes in 2024, and we know the outcome. That is not an option. No more increased taxation for Kenyans. The best we can do is only to reduce them. Because Kenyans have said no. You can't force them. And by the way, you will be unfair. If you push more taxes on Kenyans, you are unfair. Because taxes reduce private wealth. Taxes will reduce your wealth whether you like it or not. Although we have to pay it. Isn't it? But it reduces your wealth. If your salary is $1 million and 300 million goes to 300,000 goes to government. See, your wealth will come down from 1 million to 700,000. So without doing anything, without consuming anything directly, your wealth has gone down in anticipation of collective services that you get from the government. So taxes is not the best thing. In fact, we always tell people, those of us with a background in finance, that when you are taxing, you must be very careful. First, tax wealth, tax the rich. Don't go for business, tax the rich. Then you come to income. If the money you are getting from the rich is not enough, you come to income. At the very least, then you go to business. But we are only going to business, to tax business, because we don't have enough money coming from the rich. I wish we could get it from the rich alone. And we stop there. But taxing businesses affect creation of employment. Because if I make 1 million from business, and you're taking 300,000. If you leave me with that 300,000, I can expand my business. By expanding business, I will employ more people. So the best thing is to reduce to the bare minimum taxation of business. And that is what the government must push towards. And that is what we are pushing towards. And so you must create other sources of revenue. And I will come back to that. You will agree, and I have said it, that taxation and privatization, unlike taxation, reduces wealth. But privatization does not reduce wealth. Actually, privatization enhances, helps you to find a place where you can invest. Like now, if we privatize KPC, Kenya Pipeline, it is coming to you now directly. Those of you who have money to spare, some little money to spare, you can buy shares now in KPC. But I will explain to you into details to allay all these fears. And I'm happy you have raised them. Because some people raise them in funerals. Some distort them. Now we have a forum where I can explain to you and allay the fears. I will do it. I will spend about 3 to 5 minutes to allay those fears. Now I think I'm almost concluding my official speech. So now I'm back to a page and a half. So don't be tired. Don't get tired. Tutamaliza tu. So, my friends, our economy is at a critical turning point. Our economy is at a critical turning point. And to sustain the economic achievements that we have realized this far, both from a macro and fiscal perspectives, like inflation, like interest rates, like currency stabilization, like GDP growth, we must turn to innovative financing mechanisms to fund infrastructure and public service projects. As the financial needs of the government continue to outpace our available public resources, private sector participation has become a critical tool in addressing infrastructure gaps, enhancing service delivery, and promoting sustainable development. There are many success stories on privatization. That is where I want to end. Many success stories. This Safaricom we are talking about today, and by the way, we are not privatizing Safaricom. Safaricom is already private as we speak, even without doing anything. Safaricom was privatized long before, several years back. We are only divesting, meaning we are shedding off more. Safaricom used to be 100% owned by the government. During Moi's government, we released 40%. During Kibaki government, we released 25%. Total, 65%. And the 40% we released went to Vodacom. The 25% we released went to you and I, Kenyans, and other international players, but individuals. Now the 15% we are offloading now will go to, again, to Vodacom. And I will tell you why that is so. But apart from Safaricom, let me just talk about Safaricom first. By the time when Safaricom was being privatized, it was just a department in government, a small thing, small entity, not even efficient at all. Look at what the giant we have today. If we still held to it, this is our national jewel. Security will be compromised, etc. We would still be having that shell. Probably it would be dead by now because of the government inefficiency. But we decided to release Safaricom to the private sector. And now it is the most profitable company, not just in Kenya, in the region, East and Central Africa. There is no more profitable company than Safaricom. But let me tell you, the telco sector, telecommunication sector is dynamic. It changes by the day. You must be responsive. You cannot just sit back and say we are big, we are giant. Giants have fallen. You need heavy investment continuously. Safaricom is expanding to Ethiopia. It will probably expand to another jurisdiction. If we still hold shares, a lot of shares as government, and the company requires more money, do you know what will happen? they will do what we call in finance capital call. They say, oh, shareholders, we need more money. We need 50 billion. Shareholders, give us the money. The government of Kenya, your percentage out of 50 billion is 20 billion. I am seated there at the treasury, I'm doing my math and calculation, and I'm saying, do I put money in capitation? Do I put money in health? Look, I think you are the one who spoke about it. Health require more funding. People are dying. Lecturers are on strike. Medics are at Upper Hill, Duale's office, shouting on top of their voices. Counties are saying they need more resources. They want to go on strike. The COG chairman has called a press conference. Our staff want. So you're asking, do I put money in schools or do I put money in Safaricom? Do I put money in health or do I put money in Safaricom? The decision will be, I have not enough money. I will only put money in schools. I'll put money for lecturers' pay. You Safaricom inaweza ngoja. But the law in business is this. Once a company makes a call and you are not able as a shareholder to meet your part of the bargain, the other partners will come in and will buy your shareholding, whether you like it or not. And by the end of the day, our capital will dilute, whether we are ready for it or not. And we will not even get a shilling. They will take it for free. It has happened with KCB before. Kenya Commercial Bank. Our shares as a government was diluted by other shareholders because we were not able. So if you insist in keeping too huge shareholding in a progressive company like Safaricom, you are risking, my friend. And that is what some of these people are not telling you. Either because they don't know, or even if they know, they want to play politics with something so significant. And don't tell me why hasn't it happened before. If it has not happened before, it does not mean it will not happen. If you are what you are sold, sitting in an office, you must be progressive in thinking. And I've told you it has happened with the KCB. Why can't it happen with Safaricom? And the Safaricom is expanding. They will need more resources to invest. Then we need to release some of the shares so that we don't retain so much share ownership. Secondly, even with 20%, if this company is going to be run even much better and make more profit, we can get more dividend than we are getting with 35%. When we held 100% of shares in Safaricom, how much dividend were we getting? Ilikuwa kidogo sana. Saa hii with only 35%, we were getting about 16 billion per year. What makes you think we cannot even get 20 billion per year with 20% shareholding if the company is run properly? And we will have also received 240 billion. Let me say 204, because 40 is a dividend in advance. 204, and we are giving up how much per month, per year? We are giving up about 6 billion, 7 billion per year. How many years will it take you to recoup your 204? 30. That you have not even factored the time value of money, because 200 billion received today is not the same 200 billion we will be receiving in tranches kidogo kidogo as we go forward. Now, that is what we are trying to do. And when we get this money, and I will explain to you where this money is going. But before, there are concerns about data protection, about our security as a country. The operations and decisions of security, data protection is not governed by shareholders. Even right now, we only own 35%. But the government still controls. The law of Kenya still dictates how our data is protected. The data protection is protected by law. Data protection is not a function of share ownership where you go and sit and decide, now we can release the data. No, the rules, regulations, the legal framework of the country is what dictates data. Let me ask you about Airtel. Is Airtel not doing the same thing as Safaricom? It's only that Safaricom is bigger. They also have your data. Are your data not protected? Those of us who have Airtel lines. Why is it protected yet Airtel is 100% foreign owned? The government has 0 shares in Airtel. The people of Kenya have 0 in Safaricom. It is owned by foreign investors. And it has our data almost the same way Safaricom has our data. So whoever is telling us about that, our data will be exposed. You don't understand how this thing works. The data protection is protected under the Data Protection Act. There is a communication authority. Even when Safaricom participates in the electoral process by relaying the information to Bomas of Kenya, it is not the government shareholder who decides what they should do. It is the law, the regulations, the rules, and the engagement that IEBC has with the company. And we are protecting this company, even with this divestiture. The ownership, the management is still going to be Kenyan. It is a Kenyan citizen who is going to be the CEO. The board membership of 2 is going to be maintained. All independent board members will still be Kenyan. So there is nothing we are losing here. Let me now come to a conclusion on how are we going to use this money. The concerns you have is what we are also trying to cure at the national government level. We don't want to get this money and start paying salaries and start paying recurrent expenditure, because that is what has been done before. We are creating a national infrastructure fund, and we are also creating what we call sovereign wealth fund. These 2 funds have a function. The sovereign wealth fund will have a small portion of this, the proceeds of this divestiture and privatization, about 10%, to protect money for the future generation so that our grandchildren don't ask us, where did you take Safaricom? Where did you take KPC? We are leaving some money in sovereign wealth fund for the future. Kenya has not had sovereign wealth fund, yet Botswana has. A country like Norway has sovereign wealth fund which can fund their budget forever. They don't need to tax their people or do anything. They have money that they have loaned to other sovereign states and giving them money. The Eurobonds we are buying, some of them it is money from Norway that we are getting to fund our budget. They have money, we just pay them every year. We are paying them and they are running their affairs without even taxing their people. That is where Kenyans should be. Even if it is not in our generation, we should start it for the next generation. So that 100 years from today, Kenya can be able to run. Don't be selfish. Don't ask yourself, why do we think about 100 years? If our great-grandfathers were never selfish, we would be in a better position today. I don't know whether I'm communicating to anyone. Am I speaking to anyone in the room? Let me convert myself into a preacher. Am I talking to anyone there? National Infrastructure Fund. What is it all about? People have not understood this fund. Many people ask me questions that clearly are irrelevant. So I realize Kenyans have not understood what we are trying to do. What we are saying is this. The economy we have today is struggling still. It was worse. Let me just share this with you, ladies and gentlemen. When I got into this ministry, and I'm sure many of you followed, I lost weight terribly. I thought of running away from the ministry. But I said, if I run away, who will do it? Someone must do it. Because I got into the ministry, and unafika 15th of the following month, na hata hujamaliza kulipa mshahara ya wafanyakazi wa serikali. And the debts are coming for payment. You don't know whether you are going to pay or not. We say this every day. Some of you think it is a joke. IMF categorized Kenya among 5 other countries in Africa which were going to default. Not if, when. All those 5 countries have defaulted. It's only Kenya which has not defaulted. And by the way, you people don't know what a sovereign debt default means. If a country defaults in paying debt, the first thing is all public servants must take salary cuts. For us to be bailed out by IMF, World Bank, they will come and tell us, okay, you have found yourself in a mess. We have to clean you. You are dirty. To clean you, you start with yourself. Everybody, 50% pay cut. You must rationalize. Some of the staff must go home. The chiefs, if you have 10,000 chiefs, 5,000 to go home, only 5,000 remains. I'm giving you just example. MCAs, you have 1,450 wards, reduced by half. You have 290 constituencies, reduced by half. I'm giving you what probably would have happened to Kenya if we defaulted. It was terrible. We were in a bad situation. But we have, in my view, and don't doubt this, we have come out of that problem. Because even IMF have said, okay, hii umeponyoka. Tumeponyoka. That is why the government which was there before, we reached 2024, February. Eurobond is coming up for payment of 260 billion in June. And there was no plan put in place because the government that was there knew they were leaving anyway, so they didn't care. Fortunately for this government, and I say God loves this government. Hata kama unaosema one term, hiyo ni yako, hiyo ni ya shetani. Mungu anapenda hii serikali, we will have 2 terms. And I will tell you why. Something that no one ever expected. The market opened and this government went to the market, got another Eurobond and refinanced the other Eurobond. It was luck. I will tell you, it was not any economic magic. It was luck for the country of Kenya. But that luck, we didn't want it to extend further. That is why last year, in February, March, because we were aware that another Eurobond is coming up for payment in 2027, May, just a few months to election. Another huge one. We decided to deal with it earlier. And we managed it. That risk was taken out. In September, again we dealt with 2028. We didn't want to behave like the other government, which decided to leave the rest, watajisort after uchaguzi. We could have also thought the same and say 2028, hiyo ni mbali. Sitakuwa after uchaguzi. No. This government has taken a proactive approach and has managed the liability of 2028. So the only risk now we have is 2031. 2031, we have moved from the possible default to 2031. That we will still deal with. So, ladies and gentlemen, msisema hii serikali hakuna kazi inafanya. It is because maybe we are not sharing with you the challenges we are going through. And those challenges must be dealt with. And God has put me in this position as one of the key persons to deal with this. I must help. I must work for the people of Kenya. So I was explaining that now we have an economy that is growing at 5%. Let me tell you, with the number of population, with the population growth we have in Kenya, and the number of Kenyans coming out of colleges and universities, who are well-trained, educated, who have basically taken all our wealth. Those of us who have ng'ombe, you have exchanged your ng'ombe with a certificate. Sindio? If that certificate becomes useless, then you go into abject poverty. That certificate needs to translate into something. If it is now your wealth, these people should be employed. They need jobs. Kenya will not create enough jobs for our youth if we don't grow at 7% or 7.5% the economy. But for us to grow the economy, we cannot stay with the infrastructure we have today. We cannot be complacent with the infrastructure we have today. You are all complaining about roads. We must access the markets. If you have a motorbike, you want to get your wares or whatever it is, mboga, you rush to the market and in the next 30 minutes you are there. You don't want to take 6 hours, where you should take 5 minutes, 30 minutes. So roads. Irrigation. This country cannot feed itself by relying on the generosity of God all the time. Rain. We must irrigate. Our airport, you saw the president speak about it yesterday. It's a shame. It is terrible. For an economy which is the largest in the region. We are number 1 in East and Central Africa. We are number 6 in Africa. Only defeated by South Africa in the south, Nigeria in the west, and Egypt, Algeria, and Morocco in the north. Then you have such an airport. And yet Ethiopia has better airports. And that now Rwanda, a tiny country like this, has a better airport. We are losing our advantage as the regional logistic hub of this region. Just because of some politics. I'm trying to be very polite, you know. Sometimes I don't want to call it idiocy. But again, that is what it is. So, how do we do these things? I know, can we tax you to do airport? Do you want to pay more taxes? If you want to pay more taxes, put up your hand. So, if you don't want to pay more taxes, and I also agree with you, I don't want to pay more taxes. And imagine, I don't want to pay more taxes. What about you? Number 2, do you want us to continue borrowing more and more to do these things? So if those two, if you have close to those two, where do we get money to do the airports? We can go PPP, but PPP has risks. You know, every public infrastructure has risk. If we have to do roads and toll them, there is risk. If we have to do airport, there is risk. If we have to do water and irrigate, there is risk. So to reduce that risk, government should put in some money, and then we invite the private sector. If the cost of doing airport is 200 billion, and the government puts 50 billion, we can now reach out to institutional investors and tell them we have already put our 50 billion, and this project is profitable, we do the design and we convince them. Then now they bring in 150 billion and we do the airport. And by the way, the airport will pay for itself. That is what we need to do. And that is why we are creating this fund, the National Infrastructure Fund, so that we have a seed capital. This seed money, we will only put it in commercially viable projects. Partner with you, then we free the budgets where we were putting all the roads, all the irrigation, all energy. We free the budget. And the money that we free will now go to education. Will go to health. Will go to social interventions. That is how to work or grow the economy. I know I have a lot to say, but let me now progress to conclude. Irrigation, again, I want to give you one example of irrigation and energy, then I end. Irrigation, this country is food deficient, especially maize production, by about, and I'm happy I'm in Western and Nyanza, without ugali, no food. Ama namna gani, mume change. So, the maize that we consume, we need between 10 million bags and 15 million bags to be food sufficient. Galana Kulalu, we have done an experiment. We have just harvested on 1,500 acres. What we need in Galana Kulalu is a dam of 40 billion maximum. It's between 30, 40 billion. If we do that dam, we are going to irrigate 200,000 acres. And this is what 1 acre has produced in Galana Kulalu. 30 to 35 bags. Take the lowest, 30 bags. And you can now plant twice because you are irrigating. So in a year, 60 bags. Times 200,000 acres, 12 million bags. You have already sorted out the food situation in the country. And this is achievable. Why don't we do it? Lastly, lastly is the energy. Nyinyi kila saa power blackout. Ama hapa Kakamega power is reliable. You cast one day every day. One day anafanya kazi gani? Where, you know, Kenya, we generate only 3,000 megawatts. But we need no less than 10,000 megawatts. We need to generate more power, and power can pay itself. You are paying power. Unaanza, you are in your workshop, you have a tender of 100,000, you are competing with the time to complete your tender, then stima imeenda. It's affecting business. We want to generate more power in this country, at least 10,000 megawatts, to be able to sustain a progressive and industrial country. We will talk about manufacturing industrial forever. We will not succeed. Even these pipes that the governor talked about will never take off without reliable energy. So that is what we are talking about, ladies and gentlemen. And that is why I want to persuade you. We have formed a company already to manage this fund. We want it to manage professionally this National Infrastructure Fund. We don't want a fund that will be managed at the National Treasury alone. No, we want a company that is given the responsibility of managing this fund. The projects will be designed, they will be approved, Parliament will be involved, so that we have this fund to solve our infrastructure projects or problems. So let me address your issues quickly, those ones which I have not responded to, then I finish. My friend Peter, you gave me a lot of information that I would want you to put down in writing, and then we'll act on a lot on especially on the issues of taxation. On projects, the roads, this is what I want us to take out of this. Projects that are ongoing in Kakamega. I want us to have a list of all those projects so that we enhance the budget, they get completed. Because I think, I want to agree with you, I have had a lot of complaints that Western, most particularly Kakamega, probably we are not giving you proper attention. And let me remind you, Kakamega is the largest rural county in Kenya. Forget about Nairobi and Kiambu. Kiambu is no longer rural. They benefit a lot from Nairobi. The largest rural county in Kenya is Kakamega. And so you cannot ignore Kakamega. My coming here, and I want to get those projects, and you will see in the budget allocation that we have enhanced budgetary provision so that those projects, especially if you have some major roads here which are facing challenges, please, we will take up those matters and make sure that we allocate resources for your projects to complete them. But you will also agree with me, members, that the national government has not forgotten you completely, because we are doing Bukungu Stadium. It's probably after the stadium in Nairobi, after the 3 stadium, Bukungu will be the 4th in terms of size. Forget about the others being done even in Homa Bay. Hizo ni za local matches. The only stadium we'll have in Kenya after Talanta is Bukungu. I know, because I sit on the table. So this talk that we are not thinking about Kakamega is not correct. It's not correct. But we can do more, isn't it? Yeah, let's talk about doing more. So let me tell you, since Moi did Kasarani, Kibaki did no stadium, Uhuru did no stadium of international standard where we can play matches. It's only Ruto who has done Talanta and now doing Bukungu. So, hospitali. Hii hospitali ilianzishwa na county government. Si ndio? Na Oparanya. Tumeweka pesa hapo, and the KDF is going to complete it this year. Ndiye ikuwe another level 6. Imagine the whole of this region from Migori covering Kisii, Nyamira, paka, I don't know, is it Bungoma, mwisho huku ama ni Kakamega? Ni Bungoma. We have not had any level 6 since Kenya got independence. Right now we are going to have 3. Kisumu, Jomo Kenyatta, Jaramogi, Kakamega, and Bungoma. And you know what? Kakamega has got a huge allocation for infrastructure. Bungoma is also getting money from African Development Bank in billions. 2 hospitals here. Sasa zingine nashangaa nyinyi, kwa nini mnachukia hii serikali na inaendelea na inafanya kazi mzuri? Ama mjachukia hii serikali? Mko sawa? But so I want to give you my word. The roads that are ongoing, we will make sure we put more money on those roads. I will talk with my colleague, and he's a very listening minister, Chirchir. We put money. I will tell him we prioritize those roads which have taken years to conclude. And all roads are stalled. Uhuru left all roads in this country stalled. Akikuja hapa naona mnashangilia yes, and I don't even know. But I think when someone leaves office, people forget, which is okay. Because I will also leave office, forget about the bad things I've done. But the truth is that road construction in this country is stalled. It is this government which has restarted the roads. Sendio? And we will make sure that these roads are completed so that Kenyans get services. Let me move quickly because sijaingia maneno ya siasa hapo. I think I've addressed, in fact, what I did was to address most of these things in my discussion around the national infrastructure and around privatization. But there are specific things like women empowerment, water, allocation to water resources. But you see, for Kakamega town, see, I have been helping you through my ministry, Floka. You are going to have some water running. We will fast track that process. I don't know whether it is complete or it is nearing completion. It is nearing completion. Hapo mungenipigia makofi bwana. Hiyo ni pesa imetoka kwa National Treasury tukipartner na county government. Si ndio? County government wameweka, lakini national government imeweka zaidi. Sasa makofi ni yangu. Ya pili ni ya Governor Barasa. MCS, PW, we have taken note of all the issues that you have raised. I just want to conclude now because tumekaa hapa sana. Sindio? Prioritizing health sector, correct, I agree. Cancer, imagine the whole of this region. The whole of this region, if you want to be treated, so you go to Moi Teaching and Referral or Nairobi. It's unfair. So, Wacha, and I took notes. I was writing as you people were speaking. And I have also asked my team here to give me in writing some of the issues they raised. Let me now conclude. I'm being reminded about control of budget issue. We will talk to her. But a controller of budget, sometimes I'm reluctant to comment because it's an independent office. It's an independent office, but I agree with you. Sometimes even me, I get very frustrated. But I don't want to appear like I'm attacking another public officer in public. There are things that we sort out in-house, because otherwise that would be a dysfunctional government. Let me raise issues that you have raised with me, with her. She's my professional colleague, we are friends. Actually, we have interacted a lot, although sometimes I also get frustrated. But again, we should also not make control of budget like be how do I put it? Like be taking instructions from us. Because again, we compromise on independence and just like Auditor General. So we must give them space, independence, but at the same time, we must ask them, please make sure you don't frustrate government functions. See, that is what we are saying. Now, wacha nimalize. Na nikikuchokoza, please forgive me. If I make you angry, please just forgive me. You know, mimi ni member wa ODM. And I'm not about to leave. So those of us in this room who are members of ODM, allow me to speak to you. Let me tell you, if we want to remain relevant, because I have looked at the demographics of this country and nothing tribal. That is the reality. We are still wired on those ethnic lines. There are people who have bigger population than us. Our unity is what makes us relevant. If we start creating small village parties, we are heading nowhere. We are heading nowhere. I would tell you without blinking an eye. If you want to manage people, divide them. Divide them. Hii chama cha ODM, if I were you, people from Nyanza, Western, tungeshikilia. It doesn't matter who is at the top. It can be a lawyer today, a lawyer tomorrow, a lawyer today, a lawyer tomorrow, or even someone from the coast. Because these are the regions which support the party, largely. So long as our unity gives us a bargaining power. If there are mistakes we have committed in the past, let us sit down and say, yes, Mbadi, we gave you this thing and you only thought about Homa Bay. We are removing you and giving it to Barasa. So that we see if Barasa is also only thinking about Kakamega. What I am saying is, why don't we remain a people? Because we are united. You can choose your friends, you can choose your but you can never choose your neighbor. It is God who gives you your neighbor. We are neighbors as not a community, but as communities living here. You know, I have been reading about the history of the lawyers. And I'm also reading about the history of the Luos. There's a gentleman who has written something. Sometimes you ask yourself, are these lawyers not Bantus? Are you not Bantus? Are Luos not Nilots? But how come these two communities have a way of understanding each other? How come lawyers don't understand Kambas as they understand Luos? And they are both Bandus. How come Luos cannot understand Turkanas the way they understand lawyers? It's because God put them together and they decided to marry. Mpaka sasa hata the face of marriage imefanya, the face of a lawyer and a Luo, you can never tell. Nilikaa hapa, mnasema ati hata ukiangalia sura ya Mbadi ni ya Mluya direct. Hata jina ni hivyo. So let me tell you, and this is not anything ethnic. The people from this region, the best we can do is to still remain intact. Even if we have more than one party, let those two parties or three parties work together. But if we cheat ourselves that we can put ourselves in some cocoons and corners, that Luos now remain alone. And that is why I am very unhappy with the Luos who think ODM belongs to the Luos. Because even if we have had parties which belong to Luos before. Where did those parties take us? We had a party called KPU. It was largely for the Luos. We had NDP, which was led by Raila Odinga. I don't want to talk about Fora and Ford Kenya because they were a bit national. NDP was purely a Luo party. Raila had to look for ways of expanding, and then we got to ODM. We became national. We have coast. we have Western, we have Nyanza, we have Turkana, we have Masai, we have Northeastern. Then now we want to split again and form ourselves into small cocoons because of unnecessary fights. Some people going to Sijui Wamunyoro. Wamunyoro has declared that he doesn't want to think about any person. His mind is fixed in Mount Kenya. It is Mount Kenya, Mount Kenya. Even schools, he's saying national schools which are in Mount Kenya, Aluya should not go there. That is what he's saying. Why do you want to work with such a person? Who is telling you any school in Central, Alliance should belong to them? And we know Alliance has been funded by our taxes. That is what has made Alliance Alliance. That is what has made Mangu Mangu. That is what has made Maseno Maseno. It is not the money of the Luos which have made Maseno what it is today. How many Luos have contributed to the development of Maranda? It's national resources. Your children who go there make the population big. Capitation goes there. Capitation ni pesa hata ya Turukana iko hapo. Then you wake up and a person who should be intelligent enough, who calls himself a national leader, and then you are telling Kenyans the schools in this region should only belong to people in that region. Shame on him. And then you find some people coming from this region also want to form an alliance with such a person. Even if you hate Ruto, you better stay on your own. Even if you hate Ruto, please stay on your own. When they ushindwe hapo peke yako, you win your seat at independent. Unakasi kuna independent MPs in parliament. But it is a shame to think of working together with such a people with such a mindset. I don't know kama nimekosea mtu, lakini that is what is in my mind and I have spoken it. So let me wind up by saying, let us work together. Raila left us. He's gone. We will not bring Raila back. Whether we like it or not. We must look for replacement of Raila. And that replacement of Raila will not be a Raila. Will be another person. And there is no leader who has no weaknesses. All of us have weaknesses, including Raila himself. We must get a person, and that person should not announce himself. There is no time Raila announced himself that I'm now the leader. We made him the leader. He became our leader. We followed him religiously. Whatever he told us to do, we did. Jump, we jumped. Go left, we went. Go right, we went. So it is you to look for a leader amongst us, and we are many. Just identify, get that leader in front. It doesn't have to take a day. It will take months. It will take years, but we'll get a leader. Raila did not become the leader just immediately. In fact, there were people who Kenyans thought would take over Ford Kenya and lead. We had Kijana Wamalwa, he led for a period. We had Orengo, we thought he would lead. Orengo didn't lead. Raila led because God chose him and people saw him and people followed him. A leader is going to emerge among us. We will see him, we'll identify him, and he will lead the people. In the meantime, what we need, unity. What we need is what? Unity. Sawa sawa. Kama nimekosea mtu, tafadhali mnisamehe. 2027, we are going into election. If you look at this election of 2027, the battle line is already drawn. There is a team here with Ruto and another team with this other opposition. We have to choose where to strategically position ourselves. And as we go there, we must also tell whoever we are going to, and I think it is Ruto. We must tell him, as you leave, a person from this region must succeed you in 2032. We will give you that person when the time comes, but you must make sure that you help that person ascend to power. That is what we need to do. Otherwise, asanteni sana, nimeongea mengi sana, mtanisamehe, but it is because I never come to Kakamega, bunge la wananchi. Don't just ask me if you want. No, tell me we are going to invite you to come. Nyinyi mnakaa hapo, mnaongea maneno ya siasa vizuri, you give our people direction, na hata economic empowerment hakuna. Hata bank account hamna. Inatakana, my friend, chairman. Are you the president or you are the speaker? You are the president. Invite me. Pesa kidogo niko naye, nilete, I give you empowerment, you run an outfit that makes sense. Ama namna gani? So utani invite Kakamega, nimechukua namba ya huyu, I'm going to talk to you, I come. na wamama pia. Sawa sawa. Otherwise, asanteni sana, Mungu awabariki. I hope you guys, you sit because you have to be sorted. Sindio? Watu wangu wata make sure that that is done.
Thank you. Let's all be seated as Waziri is leaving. I think we can first pray, yeah? Let's end with a prayer. Let's end with a prayer, please.
Who knows how to pray?
Thank you. We are praying.
Father, in the name of Jesus, we come to you this minute with thanksgiving in our hearts. Lord, when we started this meeting, we asked it in your name, and we are winding it up. We are thanking you because you've made it possible. You gave us the wisdom to go through it, and all that we've learned here, mighty Jehovah, let it come to pass. Lord, our Mr. Mbadi is going away, and we ask for journey mercies for him. Everybody else who is here, the MCS, the people who have come, the students, all from different works, mighty Jehovah, we ask for journey mercies because it is you who grant that. Whatever that has been passed, mighty Jehovah, is for the glory of you and glory of our country. All that we have learned about our country, we are asking for peace, we are asking for glory, we are asking for everything to go on well, because we know that we have a president who is a God-fearing man, and we ask you to give him a lot of wisdom to run this country, because he's the man that you have anointed for us, is the one that you have chosen for us, because leaders come from you. We ask you, mighty God, to bless every Kenyan. We ask you to bless Kenya, all ministries, everything that is taking place, mighty Jehovah. We ask you this, and I pray in the mighty name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Kakamega.
Asante sana waziri wetu mpendwa John Mbadi Ng'ongo.